Hi, I'm Sarah from the upcoming. Such a pleasure to be able to speak to you today. How are you? Okay?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. So I'm sure fans will be well aware, but for the uninitiated, maybe you could just give us a brief introduction to where this series fits within the kind of power universe, if you like, and what drew you to being involved in it at this point in its kind of broader picture.
Okay, so basically where our series picks up, it's actually a prequel. So it's like before the Power series, and it focuses on the mother-son dynamic, the son being Kanan, who was such a polarizing character within the Power universe. One of the most questionable ones, ruthless ones in the Power series. And so we are taking it back to the 90s, and we are now put into this world of this mother son, this young boy who is this sweet, doe-eyed boy who is now presented with all of these issues of like good versus evil. His mom is running a high stakes, um, you know, she has her own empire and she wants more. And so like, you know, you're thrust into this world of like seeing this son, seeing his mother in such a business that she's in with the family, and now wanting to be a part of that. And then so the mother, who is trying to be a mother but also a boss at the same time, they're having to deal with the struggle of the worlds colliding. And within the Power universe, we know how it is. The characters are fully fleshed out. There is a lot of fast pace. There's a lot of drama, and we get to see it within the '90s lens. It's a family drama about a family in a family business.
And were you already hooked into the series before you jumped into this role? And was it like going and like, being able to have it set in the 90s? Because I feel like that's an era that's come back really
Yeah,
strong. I
man.
know in the UK, it's like the latest crazes are all about the 90s
Well, the
again.
90s,
So
you know. 90s are popular again. No, I was a fan. I was a fan of the show. Even bigger fan of Courtney Kemp, just for her writing, just being the creator of the show and writing these three-dimensional characters that got to like live so beautifully within this world that she created. And what I loved about the characters is that you could root for. There were so many of the characters within the Power universe, well, within the Power, the 6 seasons, that people loved and they identified, and they love those characters. And so now, being in our world in the 90s, where we're telling a coming of age story set in the 90s, in Southside Jamaica, Queens, this family business who are trying to like make these moves. It was exciting for me. And so, you know, putting on all those costumes, and they didn't feel like costumes for me. It just felt really, as an actor, it helped me to like go deeper into the characters, because you didn't have to worry about how anything looked because it just fit so beautifully. And me having memories of like my older cousins and what they wore in the 90s at that time, it was kind of cool to be in my dressing room and to see those hoops, and to
yes.
see like, you know what I mean, like the sweaters and the necklaces and the rings, and just the whole vibe of the 90s was just so authentic and cool and real. Our show is that same thing, and so it's been super cool.
Mm. And just to kind of give people a bit of a glimpse of what they can expect if they've been following, the first season coming to the second one, I understand it's going to go a bit darker, particularly for Kanan. So, what can people expect? It might be a bit of continuity, but also what might be a bit different from the first season.
I mean, listen, I think what's going to be different, everyone's changed. No one is the same after a season that we've had. Yeah, it's darker. The stakes are much higher. The mother-son relationship that you've watched for 10 episodes, in the first season, that relationship has changed dramatically by the end. And so the second season, you know, there's a they're detached, like they're like here, and it's about finding out if they will come back together, if they won't. But it will get darker for Kanan, because we saw him at the last episode, something that, how can you come back from that? And for Raquel, is how does she deal with the fallout of that decision, and the threat of, you know Unique, the threat of Malcolm, these things. He's not dead, so it's like, how do we how does she deal with all the fires? There's many more fires to put out this season while trying to be head of an operation and thrive there. And, the family dynamic is, it's a lot. It's a lot right now. So it's definitely darker, and the stakes are higher.
Mm. And, tell us a bit about how you see your character of Raquel, because I guess she looks like she must be quite a lot of fun to play because, she's a matriarch, she's ambitious, but of course she's also flawed. But it feels like a very nuanced, well-rounded character in that respect. At her heart, she is, a mother and a protector, but she
Yeah.
sometimes does things in violent ways. So how did you see her and how did you prepare to play her?
I just, at the end of the day, I had to really see like the heart of her, like to strip away what the page said and what other characters said about her, and even the tagline when I first got it, where they said like what she like and all of these things. I really wanted to like get to the heart of her, like what's her motivation, and she's a mother, like that is really where she is. She's a mother, she's a dreamer, she's a businesswoman, and that's exciting as well. And so to see her be really good at these two things at the top of the series and really investigate like that joy there, finding little bits of like lightness because it's so dark, really investing in that mother-son relationship, the love that's there, the vulnerability that's there, investing in the love for her siblings and Jukebox, and seeing how she loves what she does. I needed to get that first because then we can get into the other stuff, because the ruthlessness, the fierceness, the strong, that's easy to play. I don't think there's like, what's interesting for me is the nuance, the what is she not saying, and trying to convey that on screen, and to watch her with these different relationships, to she's being tested, and see how she gets out of things. And when we deal with her anger, what does that look like? Why does it come out? Oh, is it because she's told someone not to do something 3 different times and they're still doing the same thing and it's jeopardizing what she's built? Then you might see her be ferocious. Like the girl who disrespects her when she wasn't even like, it wasn't even about her, and she calls her all these things. She's petty, right? There's like a side of her that's like, she's just like any other person. I'm gonna fry your dog, but it just happens to be Rock. So like she does these big, probably like awful things, but it all comes out of something. So she's not just like ruthless and killing people left and right. I think if she had her way, she would not do any of that. She'd try to keep the peace and just like do it. But these things just happen because she's a real person.
Mm. And I had to bring up the fact that, of course, you're a Tony Award winning actress from the stage, and you're back on stage playing the witch. So just what that experience has been like. And do you see any parallels kind of in like playing the, sort of like, leaning into some of these sort of like,
Yeah.
these flawed characters? And how do you feel also about, perhaps being quite kind of, groundbreaking in terms of the roles you're taking on that aren't normally seen maybe for non-white actors playing, or certainly for non-white women actors?
No, for sure. I feel super blessed, and so honored to be able to be in this space, in my life, this chapter that I am in my life, and wanting to take on roles that are challenging, roles that are three-dimensional, like, you know what I mean, being able to bring myself to it, but also take on a role where like when you come to the theater, you might not necessarily see yourself represented, and to then have these young people to see someone who looks like me playing such an iconic role like the witch in Into the Woods. That's a huge thing. Vanessa Williams did it before me. Felicia Rashad did the role. Bernadette Peters did the role. And so now here I am being able to bring my own interpretation of the witch. And like Raquel, the witch has a lot of these things that people say about her, and that how she's the diva, how she's bad. For me, it's like, how can I do something different? Like, what can we really see and tap into that like maybe is new? And for me, it was the parent connection, and the mama bear, and she's crazy because she just wants to protect her child. She's crazy because she just wants them to all get the potion together so she can be beautiful, and maybe that will make her daughter want to be with her. So like for me, it's always the heart. For me, it's always like finding the humanity in my characters. And I'm just so blessed that with the witch, I get to really do that kind of work too. And you know, I can connect with that because I'm a mother. I know what that's like. I can connect with Raquel because I'm a mother. So ways that I can find myself within these characters and root down and bring myself to the work, it makes it even more honest. So
And do you have a preference for stage or screen, or you like doing these things in parallel?
ooh, I love doing them in the parallel. Like I'm about to be, you know, it's coming off of a TV show and then going into the stage. I always say the stage is sort of work, is sort of school for me. You know, that's where you go to hone all those skills to bring them back to TV because, you know, it's such an immediate thing. You're getting the audience reaction in real time. Things happen. And it's really about listening and finding like how you can be different each night and bringing all of the stage work, the things that we learn from being on stage, being able to bring that to your TV work for me just I feel makes me a better actor. So I'm excited to take all the little things that I've found within this work on Broadway and then take those tools into Raquel as well.
Amazing. Well, can't wait for everyone to see the next season of this, but also to see you on stage on Broadway. So thanks so
Yeah.
much for your time. Lovely to chat to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks.